What's up, everyone? This is Sterling Brown here again with the Combot Collective, bringing you everything you want to know about the 2021 Battlebots season. We're now continuing on with our 8-part Battlebots Preview Series, jumping into the eastern part of the U.S. now with our New England and Eastern regions. It'll just be me here alongside with a fellow person, of course, very familiar with the East Coast, living in Pennsylvania, talking about PoryNog here. Before we start, you can join along with us, read along with us by looking at the Combot Collective Battlebots Preview document, which you can find in the description. Has detail on all 60 plus Battlebots competitors this year. And also in that description, you can find our Facebook and Instagram, so please follow that and join our Discord community. You can find all these links in our Linktree below. And on top of that, if you are on the go, we still want you tagging along. So you can find our audio-only versions of these shows on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, anywhere you can find your podcasts. By the time this episode comes out, the first half of this series should be on audio only. And that's that. That's enough talking. Let's get into the second half of this Battlebots Preview Series.
Welcome to the Combot Collective.
Starting now as we start off our New England region here with a robot from B&S Robotics, one of the hottest robots coming out of the 2020 season with a career record of 10-3, red hot this year, one of the best overhead spinners, maybe even the best overhead spinner in the sport right now. Of course, we're talking about Bloodsport, who made the big change of shape last year, now making a lot of upgrades to the robot this year. Numerous parts of his weapon system have been overhauled. They have brand new weapons now using AR-500 instead of S7 steel. Brand new weapons such as the new tri-bar called the Try Again, a anti-hammer attachment called the Ferris wheel, and a disc with 2 large teeth called the Club Sandwich, among the usual weapons that they had in the 2020 season prior. They also have brand new wedge and wedgelets configurations to go with the new body that I believe aren't 3D printed this year and are more like sturdy and formidable. There's been more weight allowance made for stuff like that due to them changing stuff in the drive shafts. And along with that, I believe, here we go. Yep, weapon now spins up to 250 miles per hour. Custom weapon teeth have been made for the robot, and on top of that, custom-made wheels and batteries on the robot. It's crazy the stuff they managed to change on Bloodsport. It was already one of the best robots last year. The only robot that managed to beat Endgame, and now they made themselves so much better. What do we think of Bloodsport this year?
I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I'm surprised when you said that it was gonna be spinning 250 miles per hour now.
I hope that's right. I hope I didn't read that wrong off the website, but yeah, that seems to be the case.
I mean, if they're spinning faster than last year, then they're definitely a robot to look out for. The only worry of Bloodsport I really have is like they tend to hold back on the weapon when it like starts to overheat and stuff. Hopefully that's not a problem this year. Like because the Chronos win, for example, was kind of like it was an okay win, but like it could.
They were definitely playing the conservative game because it was the last round of the regular season. I definitely think that's one of the qualities to Bloodsport is the team that they have, the way they're able to manage weapon usage and like that. You don't really see that out of a lot of teams. A lot of teams aren't willing to be that unaggressive per se. And, we also saw this in the Lucky Fight in 2019, that this is something that this team's willing to do. Play it conventionally. It doesn't have to be the most exciting bot. It just has to win what it needs to win, and I like that. But an interesting thing I will say is that the weapon operator of Bloodsport that was behind the wheel of all those 2 moments, he's now in charge of Retrograde, and he's the captain of that robot. So I don't believe he's going to be able to be in charge of the weapon this year. So I don't know if the philosophy is going to be the same when they use the weapon. Maybe it will be more aggressive. Maybe it'll be less aggressive. I guess it depends a lot on the system, but I do imagine it's going to be a lot more serious. I know that the Try Again, the Club Sandwich weapons look absolutely ferocious. I'm super excited to see those.
Yeah, same here. It should be fun. Regardless, I think Bloodsport's going to make for some really good fights, and I'm looking forward to seeing them.
Oh, absolutely. I definitely worry about the upper deck or the shelf. Of course, with any horizontal spinner, it's gonna be bad, for that big disc. Any of those discs or blade that Bloodsport has, if it catches them, the shelf or the upper deck, wherever they end up calling it, that could be a
Yeah.
problem. Catching the screws, catching those new bumpers around the arena where the screws are. I do worry about that. But this is a robot with a lot of pedigree coming in. Of course, it was a top 4 seed last year. They hardened the weapons like we saw. It's now AR 500, so hopefully there won't be any incidents like with Gruff. Um, they said in 2020 the issues they had with the lockjaw fight came from an issue with the electronics box, so that's been changed. That's been more cleared out, I believe, is what they said online, and it's very exciting. We know that BNS Robotics, these guys, of course, they have another robot, which we'll be talking about later in this episode, but they're always active in the Norwalk Havoc scene. You always see robots like Division and Thumb War competing out there. They're really active on YouTube. They make fantastic videos if you haven't gone out to see them. And
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
that's a fun channel.
I love it. I love that guy's channel. Is it Seth
Yeah.
Schaefer? Yeah, that guy's absolutely
Yeah, I
awesome.
believe so. Yeah.
Shout outs to him. But yeah, Bloodsport. I remember when we all saw it in 2019, we all thought, "Oh, cool, this robot's going to be like Tornado Mare." And that was sort of it. And there probably wasn't too many high hopes because, of course, there was limits to that design at the time. But like Gigabyte, these teams have really been throwing some new life into the overhead horizontal spinner, and I'm really excited to see this bot in action. I think they're definitely going to be a robot we see making the top 32 again, probably even higher this year. Um,
Yeah.
Tantrum. You run the Tantrum, no shame with that. Tantrum was the perfect robot to stop a bot like Bloodsport, and there's plenty of Tantrums in the competition, of course, this year or bots built like Tantrum. I think Bloodsport would struggle with a bot like Minotaur or even a bot like Black Dragon. But there's also a lot of robots Bloodsport has proven it can beat, like the literal defending champion. And if I was BattleBots, I would. I know some people don't like rematches, but I definitely think Bloodsport's in for a rematch against Endgame. I think they're worthy of one. You know, let the champion defend the title against the one challenger that beat it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Totally.
Absolutely. But yeah, that's Bloodsport this year. Still the same captain, of course, with God, his name's blanking me. Sorry, Justin Marple. I feel horrible for having a
Yeah, just
blanket
more fun.
there.
Yep.
Yeah, 6-2 in 2020, 10-3 overall. Like I said, one of top overhead spinners coming in this year. I swear it might be trembling a little bit because this robot's been here for a while now and it's kind of taken that spot. That's another fight I really wouldn't mind seeing. But yeah, Bloodsport
That'd be a
definitely.
fun one.
I could definitely see this robot being a top 8 contender this year, maybe even a top 4 contender. It's gonna have a rough road. You have a really good schedule to go all the way, but you definitely can't look out for Bloodsport and BNS Robotics this year. It's going to be a big year for them. As we now move on to our next New England bot. Moving on our list here now, we are now talking about a robot who has made itself really synonymous with the Discovery era of robot combat, with Battlebots at least, I should say. It made its first appearance in the very first Discovery episode back in 2018, has been a mainstay and a main eventer since. We're talking about, of course, Team Huge's Jonathan Schultz creation, aptly named Huge. Everyone loves this robot. It's absolutely fantastic. It has spurred so many offshoots. Shouts to Gabriel in the UK for kind of helping spur its design and making it a bit of a meta thing. But then Huge took it a step further and put a big blade in the middle, and now we got Huge and Wumbo clones literally laying everywhere in every country for robot combat. But it's absolutely amazing robot. There's a reason why people imitate it. It's become its own kind of class of robot as sorts. In the same way, egg beaters and full body spinners are kind of their own thing now. We now have huge style robots that we see a lot for both horizontal and vertical spinners. But I'm digressing here. We're talking about this year's Huge coming in with an 11-9 career record. Kind of had a bit of a bum season last year. They had dealt with a lot of rough judges' decisions. They, of course, were on the rough end of the Hydra controversy. And they did make up some ground. Of course, they did end up making a top 32. They got halted by Whiplash again, unfortunately. But the team has made some serious changes for this year, and they're very serious. They brought back all the armor and configurations and subs that they used in 2020, plus more. Some double padded armor, some different wheels. The wheels are now machine cut, which might help the wheels, might help the wheel stability more. I don't exactly know what will go on behind that, but I am interested to see how that will play a factor. And the body itself, that's really the big talking point here. That's completely changed in 2021. It's
Yeah.
not just the big white rectangle that we're used to. Huge, it's gotten a little thick. It's got a bit of junk in the truck, as you could say.
It's got a butt now.
It's got that booty, but
Yeah.
Rotator had that big bootay last year. Now we got Huge having it, but it's sturdier, it's thicker, it's going to be able to take more heavy impacts, and we even saw that in that redacted picture. It looks like Huge swinging downwards in one of those impacts, throwing itself up in the air, but staying sturdy. On top of that, speaking of sturdiness, the wheel stabilizers that they have on the back of Huge, they've been using since 2018, finally gave out in the 2020 season. Now they're switching to a brand new, thicker set of stabilizers. Another change in 2020 that has been kept over alongside of some of the armor configurations is the spinner. They used the asymmetrical bar spinner in the 2020 bounty tournament they appeared in, and that looks like it's becoming more of a regular fixture this year. Small changes, but big changes for Huge, as they're definitely having to change a bit of their philosophy this year. They're becoming one of those robots that, kind of like Tombstone, everyone's going to have a plan for this robot when it shows up.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It definitely looks way better. I mean, there really wasn't much body to work with, but they managed to shy away from the square design, and it looks really good. I think it looks very sharp, and I'm looking forward to seeing Huge fight. I mean, it should be. I'm sure it'll amass some wins. It had a rough season last year, but
that's what happens when you become a more serious bot.
Yeah, like Hydra. Hydra doing the cage. They did that because they're scared of Huge. That shows like that Huge is not someone that you want to mess with.
Yeah, they're showing respect for sure when they do stuff like that. As disrespectful as it may seem, they know exactly what Huge is about. And any other situation, Hydra would get thrashed in that fight. We all know it. But we also said about the Mammoth fight. We thought that was going to be cut and dry. So it was definitely a step back. It almost
was.
That's true. There was a few big moments there. Almost caught the wheel. Almost caught one of the parts of Mammoth's body. But Jonathan Schultz, crazy good driver. I actually knew him on Game Tech Mods when I was on there as a little kid. Didn't even realize that. But he's a fantastic dude. His whole team's great. They're always a laugh. And I'm always excited to see Huge fight. Everyone gets fired up for a Huge fight because it's going to be something different.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's going to be, they're in a good spot where like a bunch of the big names, they can get in with a 1-2 record. But of course, they're not going to want to do that. We know some of their schedule. Of course, we know they're going to be running into Riptide at some point. And a few other robots, like we saw in the redacted picture, it looks like that's going to be a different matchup. But as long as I think it gets smaller bots like that, compact bots like Riptide, like Black Dragon, maybe some of the more interesting robots like Spee or Deep Six, it's going to have a good run. It's going to have a good, safe, competent run at that competition, at least through the regular season. Of course, you start running to some bigger competition. I think you're going to have some big trouble against robots that are more control-based, like Deadlift. And, of course, if they run the Whiplash, you're going to have their issues. But I also think they're going to be one of those robots that are going to make a really good use out of the upper deck. I think that's going to be one of those robots that might even be able to climb the side features, get to a safer spot if needed, maybe try to angle the weapon in, or even just if they need to escape it.
I want to see Huge do a flying attack off the upper deck and fly off it on top of another robot. That'd be sick.
Now I know they said it's for do the screws do they reverse back forward when the bot's on it?
Yes.
Okay. I still don't know how I feel about that. I feel like it should be more trap based, but I definitely I want to see you could definitely use it as a stunt ramp. Throw yourself off, give yourself a bit more momentum. Yeah. That's going to be pretty exciting. Some robots are going to do that this year for sure. I want to see Claw Viper do it. Ooh, a little fast little robot shucking itself off, or maybe P1 making itself a dart. But I digress. Huge is going to be very fantastic. A lot like Bloodsport, who we just talked about. It's going to be very interesting to see how it's going to behave and how it's going to act, how it's going to fight in this brand new arena. They have trouble getting out of the top 16. That seems to be their stopper. But maybe they can break that curse this year with the right bracket lineup. We'll just have to see as we have high hopes for Huge, and we move forward now talking about our next robot. Now moving on here to a robot that was a source of a lot of conversation in 2020. For better or worse, this robot has found itself gathering a lot of notoriety in the past couple of years. Of course, they managed to be a co-winner at Robot Ruckus 2019 due to the arena issues, and then they came to Battlebots 2020, had a fantastic regular season with 2 knockouts, and they still didn't make the playoffs, even though they were the only 2-1 robot to not make the playoffs. And last I checked, if you have a sport and they want it to be a sport, you don't take out robots. Like, you don't have a team that has a winning record, wins the division, and say, oh, they didn't face good enough opponents. We can't have them in. Let's bring this 500 team in. But we digress. That's a story for another day. Of course, we're talking about P1, the fantastic flipper with one of the best liveries in the sport. These guys are always an absolute treat to see. Of course, they came in at first as the US and UK co-brand robot, and I guess to an extent they are still that because they do rock the Brit flipper style, and they do have some team members which are technically British. But it's the usual crew for them this year, of course, captained by Brandon Zielinski. And another member of the team, of course, want to give a quick shout to this guy. Shouts to Anthony D'Ambrosio, who messaged me a couple days ago, in fact, gave me some real words of encouragement about the show. I really appreciate that. Hopefully we can have him on sometime. He's an awesome guy, and hopefully he's listening to this. We have nothing but good to say about P1. Trust us with that. It's absolutely fantastic this year, all the changes that they've made. Of course, coming in with a 5-6 career record, but 3-2 2020 record. Perhaps the most notable upgrade for this robot is all up front. Brand new wedge, much sturdier plow system. They have the wedgelets up front. But some changes have been made internally. Brand new gearboxes for both the drive and a custom-made one, I believe, for the lifting system. Of course, brand new wheel spacers, brand new lifting motion in with the gearbox. It has a full 270 degrees of motion with the lifting arm, which is going to make it more versatile, especially maybe even make it more useful with a new environment at the arena. Of course, we're constantly going to keep bringing up this upper deck because I think it's going to play a big factor in this season. I think that covers most of the big changes here. But it's going to be absolutely fantastic to see. They're coming in with a bit of a chip on themselves this year, due to everything that's happened last year. They did make the bounty semifinals. They definitely had a respectable run. They had some good fights, had some big flips. Could have beaten Tracer a lot quicker, but they kind of freed him there at that end of that one fight. So yeah, we're definitely part of the Justice for P1 camp out here. And what do you think of P1 this year? It's super exciting to see these guys back.
Yeah, I mean, P1 looks great as always. I love P1. It's a great robot. It's unique. It's fun. It should have made the top 32 last year, but
absolutely. What are you gonna do?
Robots get priority. But hopefully, if they go 2-1, that they actually get in this year because they deserve it.
Yeah, they absolutely do. I know I've heard a lot of good things about a lot of people inside and outside the team saying this is really going to be a robot to look out for this year. It's going to turn some heads. It's going to be aggressive. It's going to be quick. And it's also the only front hinge flipper in America. Not even just in Battlebots, but just in America right now, I'm pretty sure. Maybe there's someone floating around the smaller classes that's slipping me right now. But it's unique. It's stand out. It shows that you can be a control bot and be aggressive, land those vicious hits. I mean, they got 2 knockouts last year. Me and Kronos both ended up facing it. Tracer almost ended up facing it. It's a good robot, and it always has the DNA of being a good robot. After the rough 2018-2019 seasons, this team has really glowed up, and like I said, one of the best looking robots for sure.
Yep.
And it's going to be interesting. I know they're bringing in new custom gearboxes for the drive and the flipper. I do wonder how fast it's going to be. I know they were always a quick robot. I don't know how it's going to compare to Claw Viper. That would definitely be a fight I would like seeing this year. Get 2 speedy boys in there. Or even versus Hypershock. I'm sure there's a little bit of vengeance, a little bit of animosity there from the team. Kind of want to, that should have been our 32nd seed. You know what I mean? Somewhere in that regard. But, yeah. Only achievement under their belt right now with the P1 thing, of course, is the Robot Ruckus Final Four co-champion title. And they look to add to that this year for sure. Justice for P1. Do you think they're going to make a run though in the playoffs this year if they make it that far? Do you think that's like a possible thing for them? How far do you think they would go?
Depends who they draw, really. I mean,
Yeah.
it's possible. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. You know, it's unlikely because with all the verts and stuff, like there's not a lot of
Yeah.
verts I feel P1 could probably beat in this field because
They
a
got
lot of the
eaten
like
away by
lower tier ones
Copperhead.
are
Yeah.
out. But I mean, it's possible. I mean, if they were sturdy and durable and well driven, they could absolutely take out whoever they want. You know.
It's certainly built to be more robust. We've seen them in some of the previews. They're facing some heavy hitters, and
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a pretty good year for them. They made the front more, they made the face more strong. You know, they have the wedgelets now. They have the sturdier plow, like we mentioned. If worse comes to worse, they can probably throw that flipping arm out there forward, use as a bit of a shield if needed. Maybe something in the vein as we see with Snake from King of Bots. But yeah, I definitely think that you're going to see these guys in the playoffs this year. They're probably one of the control bots this year that I have the highest hopes for. Them and Slammo for
Mhm.
sure. As yeah, super excited for P1 this year. They're always amazing. As we now move on to our next New England robot. Go P1.
Ooh.
Moving on now, we were just talking about Bloodsport at the top of the video here. Of course, now we're moving on to the team's other robot this year. It's a similar situation to Fast Selective Robots and Defender this year alongside Whiplash. We're talking about Retrograde, of course, the brand new lifting undercutter hybrid coming from the team. Captained by Aaron Lucas, the original weapons operator for Bloodsport, like we were talking about. Also once competed in India with one of his robots in the ITT Tech Fest event a few years back. So he has some international acclaim to him. He has some value to his name. And it's going to be really exciting to see him operate multi-weapon setup right here. A lot of unique features and upgrades in Retrograde, of course. Like I said, this is a lifter and undercutter hybrid, so they're going to get the best of both worlds here. They're hoping with the setup they have. The lifting forks and the undercutter itself are both made out of AR500 steel. They have two versions of an undercutter they're using. One asymmetrical, one your classic disc shape. And along with that, they have a custom modified lifter sprocket to help run the lifter. They have numerous parts of their bot all just custom built. It looks absolutely fantastic. They're running Scorpion motors though, and they do have max amp batteries, so they have reliable power in that regard. And they said that the layout of Retrograde itself is built off the mistakes they've learned from Bloodsport, so it should be reliable. It should be sturdy. They have custom built wheels like Bloodsport, and they have a set of interior wheels as well, which are going to act as a secondary system in case they lose their main wheels, which are outside.
That's pretty clever.
That is pretty clever. I do like that. Hopefully they don't get buckled in. I'm sure you know what they're doing. It doesn't seem like there's much wasted space on a robot like this. Another fascinating note is that the undercutter of Retrograde is technically the primary weapon. So I guess they're going to be coming in tail first. I don't know. Let me look at the robot picture they got here. It looks like they're front first in the robot picture, but we'll see how they end up doing it. I'm not too impressed. I know it's just sort of there to give them more features to get accepted. Excuse me, which worked out for them, and it might be able to rip away at some wheels. We've seen small weapons be able to do stuff in the past, but I'm not really fully convinced of it. What do you think about Retrograde this year as a new robot?
I'm actually really excited for it. It's a neat design. I like the little undercutter. I mean, it's probably like on par with like what SME had, I'd say.
You know what? That's a
Maybe a little bit more
fair
powerful.
comparison, and that thing had some decent moments.
It got some decent hits, and I feel like there will be a moment or two that Retrograde has, but I do think that they should probably rely on the control thing. I mean, I don't know, I'm not on the team obviously, so, but I feel like the control thing, and I'm very excited because like it's supposed to have like purple flames, so that'll be really cool to see if it actually works.
Oh, that's right. It does have a flame system. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, and it's purple.
I do have it listed here. The purple flames. Is it going to be similar to what Complete Control had, where it's more of a precise flame, or is it like just what the color of the flame is? like what
Uh,
Sawblaze
it's
is.
probably gonna be like what Sawblaze or Witch Doctor
Mm,
had, where it's like, you know, like
that's
just like
fair.
pretty colorful flame. I doubt it's gonna be like a complete control gruff sort of deal. I mean, if it
Right.
was, that'd be awesome, but I doubt it.
Yeah, it's a very sleek robot. I do like the all silver. I know some people were saying it was kind of bland. Um, but if we're gonna have some silver boxes, I do like it because I like the sleek, pure, um, just the unpainted metal look is a really good looking, especially for a complex bot like this. It's a shame that we didn't get to see a Krusty Grab this year, coming from OES Robotics out of Canada and New Zealand, because they did have a similar design, of course, outside of the undercutter, but they have their own international issues this year. So hopefully we do see him eventually at some point, either whether it be in Battlebots or another event. But I am super excited about Retrograde. Do you think they have a potential to be a playoff robot in their rookie year?
I think it depends on who they get. Like, I am worried about that thing fighting like spinners, but like, you know, I feel like with some good driving, it could probably take out some control bots, and I mean, it has potential. I mean, it could make the top 32, but I think if it makes the top 32, it's gonna be like, you know, like a slammo run where like it's like, ooh, it's like kind of unexpected, and you know, the robots it fights aren't like exactly the highest
Right.
tier.
Yeah. I don't know. I think they're. I don't know if Aaron Lucas is driving or if he's going to be doing everything. That's going to be a big factor. I think if he was smart, he would focus on weapon operation and let one of his other team members, because they have a lot of people that can potentially run it. Maybe even Seth Schaefer. I don't know if he's a Bloodsport or a retrograde guy, but that's something we're going to have to see. Driving's going to be a big factor of it. They have a chance to do some really cool things. Maybe suplex a robot and then immediately back up, throw it into the disc. You know, they could do some fantastic stuff with that. Do you know where the flamethrowers are? Are they on the rear or are they on the front?
I am not sure.
Mm,
I haven't seen any.
or
I
maybe even
haven't
on the
seen the
lifter.
flamethrower in action.
That's
Yeah, I feel like it would
understandable.
make more sense to do it on the lifter.
Yeah. Another thing I will say, compared to Defender, which has been another robot that this bus compared to a little bit due to their similar situations, is it definitely looks more robust. One of the big worries I have with Defender is all the stuff up front. It looks like it could get mangled, all the little forks and teeth and stuff, and the lifting system. But this one looks definitely more boxy, all business. They do have the wedges up front and those side panels, which looks like they might be ablative. Um, it's going to be very fascinating to see this robot in action. I do think, like you said, they definitely have a shot to make the playoffs in their rookie year. It's going to be very tricky, but the team has even said though that this is their focus right now is reliability over details. So they're trying to build this machine to survive, and hopefully we will see it as we now move on to our next robot and Pory's favorite robot. Moving on now from a fuck. Okay, let me see here. Moving on now from Retrograde, of course, we are now talking about one of the robots that has really become a fan favorite over the past couple years in Battlebots. And along with being a fan favorite, though, they have managed to bring in one of the most competitively sound and efficient robots, I believe, in robot combat right now. A robot that would dominate robo games because they've essentially snuck in a metal box with a big weapon and four big wheels, and they have done really well with it because they've stuck a frog on it, and everyone loves it, myself included. I can't be ashamed. We're talking about Ribot, of course, from WPI, captained by David Jin. These guys are always active. They're always showing up at Norwalk and stuff, always sharpening their blade. Ribot, though, itself, it's coming in with a 7-5 career record, of course, finishing top 8 at BattleBots last year. And they're bringing some big changes in for this year. Of course, they have a new spinning weapon on top of the one they had usually. So they now have a proper vertical spinning disc and the spinning bar, each both coming with their own separate wedgelet setups. I believe one has a full plow wedge and the other has the wedgelets themselves. And on top of that, the disc attachment is called the Big Slapper because everyone loves a weapon with a name. And they also have the undercutters as well. They're bringing the one usual undercutter this year. And all this weaponry, of course, now powered by brushless motors. That's a big upgrade. So we're going to see likely a more powerful, more reliable weapon. In fact, this weapon has the highest voltage weapon of Battlebots history, according to the team, coming in at 252 volts when fully charged. Numerous spares as well planned for the team. They always come fully loaded. fully prepared. These guys might very well make the run to the title. We're going to have to see. Pory, I know he has a lot of things to say about this robot. What are you thinking about your boy Ribot Pory?
Ribot looks great this year, as always, and they're going all the way. We're gonna win that championship, and we're gonna take out everyone on the way. It's gonna be great, and we're going all the way. Ribot, 2021 champion. You heard it here first on the Combot Collective. We're going all the way. We're gonna take out everyone we hit.
What about Black Dragon? Come on now.
We beat Black Dragon in a rematch, easy.
What about Mad Catter? Mad Catter took care of y'all like
easy.
Nothing.
We almost beat him last time.
That's fair.
Ribot just got sloppy with the driving.
Like y'all had an easy schedule. You had Tracer, you had Axolotl, you had some rookies that didn't know how to drive. It's all good. It's all good. But look.
No, we take out everyone. We'll take out Sub-Zero. Give us a rematch with Kraken. We'll take him out with ease.
I don't know about Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero's like I said, it's gonna be 8-0 year for Sub-Zero. We already know that.
Sub-Zero. The frogs don't like the cold, so they're gonna take Sub-Zero out.
Don't they hibernate?
I don't know, but we're gonna kill Sub-Zero. That's for sure.
Oh man, that's cold, man. But
I'm sorry. Yeah. I love Sub-Zero, but Ribot going all the way.
Well, but yeah, talking about this team though, Team Ribot. I mean, this is just the level of prepared they are at, because of course there's not really a King of Bots right now. There's not really been any events right now. That's not true. There's been plenty of small bots events in the U.S., but outside the Malice team, I would have to say that you probably see the Ribot team out and about the most, especially in the East Coast. You always see them at Norwalk. Each member of the team always bring in a bunch of robots, like PoryNog, of course. The little child of Ribot always makes an appearance. I believe they even appeared at the Norwalk Finals recently, which we'll be covering in the future. But on top of that, on top of the changes that they made, another change I forgot to bring up, that's a big one, is the weapons system on, the weapons themselves on Ribot. Much bigger this year, or portionally bigger this year, and they have all been moved up further, similar to what we saw in Witch Doctor in 2019, where they had their big run. That undercutter or that vertical spinner is going to have a little bit more reach now, and Battlebots, of course, is a game of inches. That's going to play a huge factor. Ribot, of course, already one of the most durable robots in the competition. Did they get knocked out last year at all? I don't think Mad Catter knocked them out.
No, both their losses were judges' decisions.
It's like what I say. Ribot reminds me a lot of Brutus in a good way. The 2018 Brutus was a very basic robot. They came in with 2 wheels, a brick body, and a vertical spinner, and that kind of got some flack from a lot of fans for how simplistic it was. Ribot comes in with pretty much the exact same concept, but they know how to theme very, very well, and they just have a lovable team. Everyone loves David Jin. Everyone loves a lot of these guys, but they know what to do, and we're seeing it out of free shipping too. They come in with a really funky robot. They come in with the crazy frog legs and everything, and eventually they have to take them off, so they take them off, and the robot just becomes more and more business each time. But it's been super exciting. Ribot had such an awesome run last year, and we've seen some teasers of what some of their opponents are going to be this year, and I definitely think they're going to be competent. I really do think that this is a top 10 robot. As much as I hate to agree with you on this, because I think it has a better shot than Sub-Zero in the realistic sense.
Yeah, you're right.
Ribot's a really solid robot. It's built for the meta. It's versatile. Outside of Mad Catter, even more so than Mad Catter now, because Mad Catter, I think, ditched the X. It's probably one of the true Swiss Army bots in the competition still. You don't see anyone really switching weapons the way they are, besides maybe Triple Crown this year. It's going to be super exciting to see Ribot. I love the team. I love the people. I love seeing other big colleges try to rival MIT's stronghold they have on the sport, especially an interstate rival like WPI. So I definitely think Ribot's going to be... We'll definitely see them in the top 16 again, at minimum, I believe. This robot could easily, though, appear in the finals. And
hell yeah.
Absolutely. Super excited for Ribot this year. Super excited to see the team. As we now move on to some of those MIT robots with our next pick. Moving on now as we get to the MIT trio of robots that we see every year now. We're talking about a robot that I personally had as my pick to win Battlebots 2020. I was adamant about it. I was sold about it. I picked them first overall in King of Draft. They had a damn good run, and I'm super happy with how they did perform because I think this was their best placing ever. I think they went top 8, if I'm correct.
Yeah,
But
they made the quarterfinals. I think didn't they make the quarterfinals in 2019 as well? Yeah, I think they
yes,
fought
they
Witch
did.
Doctor in the
They did. They
quarterfinals.
got
Yeah.
beat by Witch Doctor. I'm just thinking because they had to make the extra round in the playoffs. But yeah, 2-time quarterfinalists now in back-to-back years. Hopefully, they can move up to the semifinal bubble. They certainly have the potential to do it, or even be the champion, in my opinion. They have made some upgrades this year. Of course, Sawblaze is rebuilt completely like usual. The whole front of the robots completely changed once again. Um, but outside of that, the changes are minimal that we know of at least. We know that they have the fourth wedgelet up front now. So their little hexbug toy that we have right here. Already a little outdated. I do love this thing though. Love the disc and everything.
It's a cool one.
This thing rules. Probably one of my favorites yet. And they have on the sides now here a blade of armor. We believe it's UHMW. That's going to be very helpful because they did take some rough hits from the sides. Just look at the uppercut fight last year, probably the most spectacular fight of the year, besides maybe Mammoth and Huge, and you can even rival it with that. Sawblaze definitely has a bit of a chip on his shoulder this year, always as usual. Probably a top MIT robot still in terms of reputation and success, coming in with a 13-7 career record, 4-2 record in 2020 last year. What do we think of Sawblaze this year? They always bring something exciting. Jameson Go, and a fantastic character and a fantastic driver to boot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited to. I'm very excited for Sawblaze. I mean, if Rivat doesn't win championship, which it will, I feel like Sawblaze is probably my next pick for the champion. And I mean, they were low key kind of my pick for champion last year if Rivat didn't make it.
I really thought, man.
It's just a great robot. I think Sawblaze is gonna be like, I'm thinking they're gonna probably make like top 4, top 8. But an interesting thing to note. The last 3 seasons, Sawblaze has gone 4-2 in every season. Can they break that curse?
That is a very fascinating thing. I don't see why not. They gotta get over that hump somehow. Otherwise, you're gonna end up with another top 8 finish, unless they. I guess no. Then again, no, because then it would be 1 loss. Oh well, I'm not good at math. It's late o'clock here, but
yeah.
I mean, the team G3 Robotics, they're super successful. We were just talking about the success in Norwalk with teams like Bloodsport, teams like just drew a blank. We were just talking to him, Robot. But this guy Jameson Go has literally a multi-time champion at Norwalk in the past year. Silent X, Silent Spring, both winning championships in the 3-pound weight class, and I know they don't treat the sportsman class as seriously up there, but we did recently see Tuscan Raider, Jameson's Razorback tribute, has some big success in there as well, along with other members of his team bringing various robots to the competition. These guys always are out competing, always are out innovating. Definitely one of my favorites still this year. It's a shame I didn't get them on the King of Draft team this year, but man, whoever has him is lucky. I had to pick Black Dragon over him, but I do digress. I picked the one dragon over another dragon. That would be an awesome fight.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do know Sawblaze is in the first episode, and we know it's going to be a super exciting match for the supporters. At least, if you don't support, you should support and hear who we're talking about. But it's going to be an awesome season for Sawblaze. I really do hope. I have high hopes for this robot this year. And like you said, I definitely see this robot being a playoff contender. In fact, I know they're going to be a playoff contender. This is one of those robots that can have a 1-2 year and still make it in the back half of the bracket. And even after that, they can make a comeback, make a big run in the playoffs. Because they just have such good tactical ability. They have versatility. They've always been able to make use of their weapon. I've seen them use it as a back weapon like that, kind of minion style. Use it as like a reverse vert. Like I said, Jameson Go, one of the most fantastic drivers. Just look at the Whiplash fight. As Kenny Florian himself said it, sending Whiplash to Shadow Realm. Very excited for Sawblaze this year. And just like Robot, I definitely believe this robot can go all the way. Maybe even more so than Robot, because I really do subscribe to what G3 Robotics and Jameson Go does.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. As now we go From Sawblaze to a robot that seemingly has Sawblaze's number, at least when we saw in that first fight. Moving forward here, of course, we were talking about the robot that took care of Sawblaze last year, none other than Uppercut, another robot on my King of Draft team, still on my King of Draft team this year. Another robot I would say is a serious contender for the competitions, the Giant Nut this year. Sorry about that. Obviously one of the deadliest vertical spinner hitters. Reminds me of Nightmare in a way. Even reminds me of Pussycat in a way. We were talking about that when we were doing the countdowns at the start of the channel. Just like Pussycat, the way this robot is built, when they're not running the plow at least, very versatile. No matter where you try to hit this robot, it's going to bounce right back into a base rick and spin. And one of the best Battlebots segments they did last year was the segment where they were talking about how Uppercut hits and the way its weapon is designed and how it gets such good purchase with every impact. And I found that really fascinating, and it's a good point. They've designed that weapon super well with how the robot is built and the impacts they've managed to land last year, especially last year. In my opinion, probably one of the most destructive robots. It had a run similar to what Ice Wave had in 2018, where every fight was must-see TV because you had to see where this robot was going to knock a robot next. This robot was chucking Gemini perfect shots out of the arena, ripping them apart, literally detonating Sawblaze's flamethrower system. The out of the arena against Hijinks was perfect. Another perfect one-to-one shot from the team, and it got stopped by Ribot, which sucks. I know you're probably.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but not much is known about this robot in terms of changes this year. Of course, still captained by Alex Vittori, still MIT Robotics, still all of that. Coming in with a really good record with very few career losses, one of which is the Bite Force, one of which is the Hydra. Losses that you cannot be ashamed of. And like I said, one of the most destructive vertical spinners in the sport right now. Absolutely fantastic. No changes, no real changes known about the robot. We just checked their Facebook too because the info sheet that we have doesn't have much on it, and they still haven't posted much on it. We know that they have a brand new plow system. They have the stabilizers, which I don't know if they had last year. They might have had them last year. I think they did.
I think they did.
Yeah, but with a robot like this, there's not much you can change. I imagine there's probably a bunch of stuff done internally to make this robot better. Given what happened last year where Uppercut was stored away for so long before the event, I'm sure they really took advantage of a lot of the time they had this year to actually be able to update Uppercut all the way up until ship day. So
from what I gather from last year was that like he was working on new weapon motors while being away from the robot, and he's just like gets to the event, and he's like, well, I hope this works, and then it ended up working.
I never heard that story. That's absolutely fantastic.
That's what I heard, yeah.
I mean, I guess that's what you gotta expect. I mean, this dude, MIT master, yo-yo wizard, Alex Vittori. He's got a fantastic team behind him. I don't know if they compete in the small bot scene. I imagine they do, though I don't know which robots they compete with. I don't know if they've appeared in Norwalk recently or not, or anything along that line. But I absolutely love Uppercut. Of course, with the fist design. I think there's another robot. Of course, yeah, Deadlift. Also bringing a fist-shaped weapon. That would be an exciting fight to see.
Take it.
We also need that yo-yo showdown. We really need that yo-yo showdown. Where's Zach Lytle and Alex Vittori's boss? Let's get Scorpius versus Uppercut.
Well, they fought in season.
Did they?
Yeah, they fought in season 4.
Has my memory really gone to shit like that?
Yeah, it was a round 4 fight, and Uppercut won.
I'm so ashamed of myself right now. I'm usually the one that's like, actually, that match happened, but here I am.
Yeah,
the tables.
It was an okay fight. I mean, it wasn't really like that memorable.
It was like around the end of the season, right?
Yeah, it was the last. It was round 4.
I feel like the end of the season, those round 3, round 4 fights, I feel like those are more of a blur.
Yeah, then they had like they had a scene afterwards. Picture. They had a scene afterwards where like they had a yo-yo matchup, and like during it was like a parody of the Wild West, and they're like one of Scorpio's wheels was like tumbling in the background.
I feel like I vaguely remember the yo-yo showdown, but I don't remember the wheel bit. Yeah. That's something that would pop me.
It was like in the background. Good. It was funny.
But yeah, they're going to get a really big schedule this year. They're going to get a tough schedule this year. In fact, we were talking about with Sawblaze. We know who they're fighting first, and the supporter previews. Go get the supporter cards.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very unique matchup. It's literally seriously one of those matchups where I look at it, and I've been looking at it, and I can't wait to talk about it. I have the spike card right here on this board, and I can't show it to anyone yet because I don't want to get yelled at by anyone. But man, it's going to be
Uppercut
such
fight is public though.
Is it?
Like photos, there's photos of it that were posted. I mean, let's let the fans find it.
Okay, that's fine. It is a very fascinating fight though. One of the fights that
it should be fun.
I really don't know who's going to win. I think this is going to be a big tide turner though for both robots. I think it's going to set the pace because these are both robots. I would not imagine going 0-1 at the start of the season. But I won't keep it too vague. We all know what to expect from Uppercut. It's going to be exciting. We all love Alex Tory. We love the team. We love seeing this robot fight. Every time it comes up, you know it's going to be exciting. You know it's going to be heavy hitting. Even if it was Uppercut throwing itself like it did against Sawblaze, that was also really exciting. It shows the durability of the bot too. It's a
very tanky robot. Well, it's kind of robot's just more tanky. But here's a question for you: do you think Robot should have won Most Destructive last season?
No, it should have been. Who won Most Destructive again?
Valkyrie.
Okay, that's dumb. It should have been Uppercut, probably, to be honest.
Like that rotator moment was good, but like wouldn't really.
That's
none
not
of their
destructive.
Other fights
it ripped off the rear wedge.
That was pretty destructive.
It's
that was
destructive,
a pretty nice hit.
But it's not like destructive of the year. It's kind of like that was the issue I had with Rotator winning it in 2018. Yeah, you beat the most destructive robot and you shoot away at that engine husk, the housing that they have. But the one robot literally ripped two robots in half. How are we not?
Yeah, Ice Wave should have. Like I feel Ice Wave should have won it that year. 2019, I feel Deep Six should have won it. And
Deep Six was a good pick.
Because I mean, Deep Six destroyed literally everything, including the arena, the test arena in itself. Arena.
Yeah, that would.
Like that's by definition the most destructive. But yeah, I would have probably given it to Uppercut last year.
Yeah, you have robots like Uppercut. You have robots like Gigabyte last year. You have robots like Tombstone. Or even if they didn't have the sharpest season, they still tore robots apart. Look what they did to Slapbox. Look what they did to Gruff. But I digress. Valkyrie, it's a destructive robot. I don't know if it's the most destructive. I certainly don't agree with the award. But one thing I do know about Valkyrie, though, is it is up next. Capping off our New England region here, we are talking about the last of our MIT trio of robots, and a robot that really turned some heads in 2020. Got the most destructive robot award, which slipped me apparently, but they ended up winning it. They were also a robot filled with rematches last year. Had to fight Whiplash twice, had to fight Sub-Zero twice. Ultimately finishing off with a 4-3 2020 record, sitting at a 12-7 career record. Of course, we're talking about Valkyrie. Of course, led by Leanne Cushing, driven by Frederick Moore, correct? I think that's his last name.
I believe so.
Yes, okay, cool. Of course, part of Team Questionable Designs coming out of the MIT area. I absolutely love this robot. One of the sleekest machines in the field. They've made they've made small changes to their armor and front body to make themselves more robust. But there have been some big changes, of course. Last year, we did see the breaking of Dr. Teeth, so they did replace it with Dr. Acula, or Dr. Akula, as I like to incorrectly say it. Armed with a set of S7 teeth, the weapon itself, of course, is generatively designed, I believe is the correct term. It's a tongue twister. And yeah, they've come fully ready this year as well. Three fully prepared Valkyries in the crate this year for them. They've come fully decked out. They have, like I said, they have Dr. Akula, and they have their usual other lineup of weapons. So we'll obviously see Sweet Caroline and a lot of those other fantastic weapons that they bring. Other names are kind of slipping me right now, if you remember any of them. But I do remember Sweet Caroline and
Sour Caroline.
Sour Caroline. Was that the green one?
There's a green one, yeah.
That was the green one, right.
Glory.
Glory, that was another one. So they do have quite a few. Glory was the bow tie, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
I think so. But yeah, I mean, It is a destructive robot, Valkyrie. I mean, we did see what it did against Rotator. One of the best fights last year. Some do say the best fight last year. We did see what it did against Monsoon in 2019. That was a fight I was personally there for, and I thought Monsoon was going to get ripped in two during that one, or it was at least going to lose its entire front weapon thing. But it's a robot that we know is going to do good. Of course, they're going to have some issues, like a lot of these undercutters are going to have. They're going to have to deal with the shelf or the upper deck. That's the proper name is, and that's going to be a big issue for any of these big spinners like Rotator or Gigabyte, like we talk about. And but Leon Cushing, Frederick Moore, fantastic drivers, a fantastic pairing. All this team, they've been with each other for quite a long time, and they do make a few appearances in Norwalk and other events. So they have the experience, they have the mileage on them. What do you think of Valkyrie coming into this year?
Oh, I'm looking forward to them. I'm very excited to see them. I mean, Valkyrie's definitely, I'd say, in my top 10 favorites. I love the giant, scary undercutter, and I think it has potential to go far this year. As long as it stays reliable, keeps up on the A game and driving, but I think Valkyrie has some good things coming.
For sure. They definitely seem like a top 32 contender. They can easily go as far as top 4, I think, with the right season, right schedule. Every year they add a little bit more to that platter, and they make themselves more and more of a contender. I mean, we all remember that first fight they had, Valkyrie's first career fight, the one against Ultimo Destructo. That was an abysmal one. That might have been the worst fight of 2018. But ever since then, just look at the Rumble that they had, where they absolutely manhandled Bale Spear. And then where they move on to 2019, where they're destroying robots like Petunia, destroying robots like Monsoon, like we just mentioned. And in 2020, they're pretty much back in the mix. They're in main events and everything. They're a huge name, but they can't beat Sub-Zero. We did get that win back on them, and we almost got 2 wins on them. But hey, it's all good. Valkyrie, an absolutely amazing robot. One of the sleekest looking robots in the field for sure. A robot I want to see fight Glitch, because they do have such a similar aesthetic with the stealth bomber vibes. I do really like that about them. But I am excited about Dr. Acula or Dr. Acula. I love seeing this generative design stuff. Quantum's Beak from a few seasons ago, or Spectre, depending on what you're a fan of. That is such a beautiful looking thing. And we're seeing generative design more and more in a lot of these robots. I know a few other teams are using it. Kind of slipping me as to who right now, but I absolutely love all the weaponry they bring. They bring versatility, and you like seeing modularity in a lot of these machines, even if it is a similar weapon. I am very excited about Valkyrie this year. Hopefully they don't run into any another thing I would say that they were probably going to have some issues with is control bots. A lot of these horizontal spinners, I think if they end up fighting something like a Gruff or a Big Dill, they might be in some trouble, especially with the fork systems that they have and the blades having the holes that they have. But that's going to be an issue for a lot of those horizontal spinners this year. So, that's Valkyrie. As we now wrap it up here. Thank you for sticking around till the end of another Battlebots Preview episode here. As we now finish off the East Coast of New England, we're going to cap off our 8-part series next by going down south a little bit, covering Florida, and then finishing off with the overseas region, covering all of our favorite international superstars. You can keep following us as always on Facebook and Instagram, and by joining our Discord server, you can listen to us and watch us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else you find your shows. This has been Sterling Brown here in the Combot Collective Studio. You can find me on Instagram at SterlingTXTG, and hopefully in more projects coming into 2022. Of course, I want to start blogging, and I have another podcast coming up called PhD and BS that hopefully will be in the first quarter of the year. You can find my correspondent PoryNog at his YouTube channel, www.dippyegg.xyz, which recently hit 500 subscribers and is still growing. And that's going to wrap it up for us here. Battlebots is now less than 2 weeks away, so stay excited and stay hot. It's a really exciting time of the year. We're so close now. Have a great night, and thank you.
This was the Combot Collective. Find us on Instagram and Discord.